We're here at the office of Representative Warren Chisum. Mr. Chisum, good morning and thank you for taking this time from your busy schedule on the session to have this interview with us.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Well, Mr. Chisum, in Voices Action, we're very interested on fiscal and moral values, and I really admire you because I know that you are a man with values who has been serving for a long time here in the House. Can you tell us about your values and what shaped those values?
Well, I'm a Christian, raised in a Christian home, a member of the Baptist Church. I chair the Bible study group here in the Capitol, where we furnish Bibles for all the elected members of the state, and actually have a pretty active program. And we met this morning, so you know, and we pray for people that have special needs during the session. You know, we're a body of 150. We have people that are in the hospital and under stress and strain, and we pray for God's guidance in their life.
Thank you, Mr. Chisum. Well, tell us about the people on your district. What are the issues that they are concerned with?
Our district, my district is basically a rural area. So we have a lot of small towns. I serve more than 50 school districts. Have 19 counties. Have a large agricultural, but a pretty good size oil and gas industry. A lot of people work in that. So it's basically a hard-working rural areas that don't need new highways. We don't need a lot of laws. We just need to be treated fairly.
Well, Representative Chisum, you are on the Environmental Regulation Committee, right?
I am.
Well, tell me, when will the Texas legislature finally nullify the EPA's overreach into Texas environmental matters?
Well, let me tell you, it has been going on for years. EPA has repeatedly demanded that we clean our air up, and that we do a better job with our environmental laws, and we have moved down that track. We actually were at one time the state that had the most violations in the Clean Air Act. We have since moved to only one county in the whole state of Texas that is in violation for one of the 9 criteria gases in the environmental, and that's the NOx emissions in Dallas County, and we're on a good track to comply with that. So we're not about not being able to comply. Our issue is that EPA keeps moving the goal, and so if you haven't found gold, I worry about EPA keep moving that goal. So it's something that they do and we respond to, but we are for clean water, we're for clean air, we're for doing the right thing for the people of Texas, but we also know that we have to have jobs and automobiles and airplanes and that things to make Texas work, because we produce more than any other state.
That's good, but speaking of the EPA, a TexasGOPVote fan has told us that South Carolina is now taking the EPA's light bulb ban into its own hands. Should Texas do the same?
Well, the facts behind that matter is that South Carolina produces light bulbs, and their ban is what they're saying is that we're going to make light bulbs in South Carolina and sell them in South Carolina, so we're not subject to the Commerce Clause, which is what EPA is using in this case. You betcha, I'm in favor of us getting a light bulb manufacturer to come to Texas. We'll sell light bulbs in Texas, and we'll all be able to read with Texas light bulbs. So I'm fine with South Carolina doing this. I support them because it's our right as Americans not to be just controlled by the federal government.
Now, Mr. Chisum, I do understand that you are a member of the Hispanic Republican Conference, who recently was formed in the Texas House of Representatives. Why did you choose to be part of the Hispanic Republican Conference?
Well, I'm a realist, and I know that we have a growing Hispanic population, especially in my area. I have several counties that have a majority population of Hispanics. I have school districts that have up to 80 and 90% Hispanic children in our schools. So to deny the fact that the Hispanic population is here in Texas is just wrong for us. And we need to understand what their particular needs are, and they need to understand what we are, And the only way we can do that is let's get together and talk. Let's talk about the values and stuff that's really important to us. Work, earning money for your family, living here without being fear of somebody interfering with your lifestyle. But we all have our own customs, and that's fine. We need to be able to keep our own customs. But remember, now we're Americans.
Well, that is important because, as a matter of fact, in my case, as a Hispanic American, I became an American by naturalization. And I took an oath, and when I took an oath, I pledged allegiance to this country, leaving any other behind. And to me, it's important that people know that besides being a Hispanic American, I am an American first. But certainly, I do believe that the people have the wrong perception that the Democratic Party is the party for the Hispanics, and I disagree with that. I believe that the Republican Party is the party who has the values that most Hispanic people have, and I believe it's time that the people can see that all Republicans are really embracing everyone, because we are all Texans, we are all Americans. Can you tell us how do you think we could outreach or embrace the Latino Hispanic community in Texas?
Well, the way we do that is making friends with them. You know, I've worked with Hispanics in my community and work with them on a regular basis. And we have more in common than we have disagreement about, and we need to just pursue our commonalities. In our area, we have a Hispanic president of our Chamber of Commerce, not a Hispanic chamber, but the whole Chamber of Commerce of town. And I worked with the Hispanic leadership of that group, and we actually had Barbara Bush come to our town to speak this year. So, you know, when you got common values, I think we just need to pursue them and forget about the fact that you were born in Mexico and I was born in Texas. That's just not an issue. We are both Texans, and we need to do what's right for Texas.
Well, you know, President Obama is today in El Paso, and he's going to be speaking about, talking about that immigration reform. We certainly know that he made promises in order to be elected to the Latino community, and in 2 years he really never did anything, including when the Senate and the House were all Democrats there. But he certainly now is trying to be using this issue to be reelected. And at the same time, I disagree with his position in immigration because I believe in the rule of law, and I believe that it's important to protect our borders. At the same time, I do believe that we have, you used the word before, we have to be realistic. And we have to be realistic about what can we do. Would you agree, Mr. Chisum, that maybe there is a need in the state of Texas and maybe in the whole country as well, besides that the federal government begins to do their job regarding protecting our, the national security is important, of course, but regarding a guest program for workers?
I do, and I have a program that's working its way through the legislative process that will recognize undocumented foreign workers, not just from Mexico, but from any country, that are here by whatever reason, but we will be able to let them earn a living, and when they want to go home, they can certainly go home, but work in a process where they are not in fear of INS, the Immigration Service, coming in and arresting them and taking them away, nor the employers have any fear of using these people to perform the jobs that they're trained to do and do a very good job of doing.
Is this the bill have to do with the E-Verify, sir?
It is E-Verify, and it's 3252. It's a bill that's working its way through the calendars committee. Hopefully it will be on the calendar today.
I think sometimes it's sad that some of Democrats representatives, I know that they are battling against that. They get confused. If you are talking about voters ID, they think that we're talking about immigration or that we're anti-immigrant. If you talk about E-Verify, they again think that you are attacking immigrants, and that is not the case. Certainly, I think that it is important that we know who is here, and also that we can find a solution for the immigration situation. Mr. Chisum, is there anything that you would like to add to us regarding any other legislation or committee that you are involved with?
Well, you know, those are the main things, and you know, it's very important to me as an owner and operator of an oil and gas company, someone who has a farming operation where we use Hispanic cowboys, where we gather our cattle with Hispanic cowboys. We work with them for all of my family's life. They've been in our family and worked with us, and we work side by side. And we need to stop the harassment that some namely the INS service. And you know, we need to, as Republicans, we need to come up with a plan of what we're going to do. There's 13 million undocumented workers here in this country, and we need to be able to use them to put them to work where they can earn a living for their family and not be on our welfare roll. And when they work for somebody, have the employer provide health care so that they don't show up at our hospitals and cost us going into those, and participate in our schools. It is just silly for us to say, there's 13 million of them here. You got to have a plan to deal with that. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Let's start dealing with it. And the best thing you can do is get them e-verified, so we have a verification, know where they are, get them to the job market, let them perform the jobs that are out there, and by that we can make productive members of society. Not necessarily citizens, but productive members of society, and hopefully through the process of the law they can achieve citizenship if they want to. But many of them want to come over here and make their living, and they'd just as soon go back to Mexico or Salvador or other countries and retire with their families there, and that's perfectly okay.
You know, Mr. Chisum, your words are very realistic, and I wish that the liberal media will put somebody like you explaining this situation in the media, because sadly, many times they talk about the people in the two extremes. They either talk with those American citizens who want a blanket amnesty, which we know that is not possible and it should not be done. And in the other side, they interview those who want to have everybody deported. And I do believe that your solution and the words that you are sharing with me are realistic and balanced, and that we need to find a solution respecting the rule of law, verifying who is here working.
I appreciate
Mr.
that.
Chisum, I understand that you served in the Army for a few years. Can you tell us about your experience serving?
I did. I served 8 years in the Army. Fortunately, I served in a time when the United States was not at war with anyone. We were not doing policing actions. So I served here in the United States, in fact, all but a short time of it in Texas, some of it in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. But, you know, had a great time in the Army. It was a great teacher for me. Learned to be a truck mechanic while I was in the Army. That was my job, and actually used that when I got out of the Army, and went on and became very successful doing that.
And how many years serving in the House?
I have been in the House 22 years, so have a long history in the House, and passed many laws, probably way too many to recall all of them.
Well, Mr. Chisum, I want to tell you, in behalf of Voices Action, in behalf of TexasGOPVote, we want to thank you for serving our country, for serving your district, and certainly for serving all the people of Texas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.